Hello again. This is take 3 of a video I've decided to make, and it's actually a response to a video I just saw this morning uh, entitled "How Was the World Created? Is Worship of God in Advaita Vedanta Allowed?" by Swami Medhananda. And well, I've seen a couple of interesting videos by Swamis, ordained Swamis in the saffron robes in these past days. And they're very eloquent, and I just want to give my opinion of that. Um, one of my freewheeling rambles, which is just a bit like playing music, presenting an improvised piece. That's just my style as it happens. Well, this seems to be a common trend and very good. Swamis who are expounding spiritual texts from Hinduism and Buddhism. I've seen the same thing happening. And it's all very picture perfect and ideal. I mean, they're very eloquent and expound the scriptures. They have thorough knowledge of the scriptures. Swami Sarvapriyananda is a very impressive orator and very inspiring. But I must say that I miss a certain depth, which is not really present among awakened Swamis in the awakened state. And that depth you only really get from a liberated sage. I happen not to have any connection with the monastics tradition. And I honestly find that this artificial dichotomy between secular and clerical clergy, which our society, our civilization, as a human civilization, has put in place, is quite artificial and leads to calcification and crystallization and dogmatization in the long run. Because you have somebody who's, a spiritual giant, a spiritual, pundit, who's a great knowledge of his particular religious tradition, and he's, awarded honor and put there as a paragon, an icon for people to emulate and to listen to spiritual advice. They cater to a certain market and people who are seeking spiritual realization. But certainly in the domain of Hinduism, I believe they're missing the mark and really not having the effect that a real Satguru would have, who's speaking from his own authentic spiritual truth, spiritual realization. And that is, noticeable. And as I said, tremendous virtuosos. I compare them to a virtuoso pianist or classical musician who knows all the concerti by heart, but would be hard-pressed to improvise a piece of music if asked to just create something out of his being. And that's one of the qualities of a liberated sage. He speaks completely original, brings his original revelation, and that may or may not be as eloquent as the polished speech of a Swami who has the goddess of speech on his side. But we do our best. And so that's, this video is, it covers a lot of interesting points. Both Swami Sarvapriyananda and Swami Medhananda, the person who's been interviewed in this video, belong to the Ramakrishna Math tradition, which follows Paramahansa Ramakrishna and his disciple Vivekananda. And I personally don't find it to go deep enough into, it's not a direct path at all. Ramakrishna was a bhaktin, a Shakta, a follower of the Divine Mother, Shakti. And, his ideas are very, very helpful, but he doesn't get to the essence like a teacher such as Ramana Maharshi, which is the self. And nowhere did I hear in this interview talk about Brahman as being the self, as being the awareness within. He's describing Ramakrishna saying Brahman is above, Brahman is below, Brahman is to the left, Brahman is to the right. What about Brahman as being within? As the inner awareness, the inner self. So that's why I was not really very impressed by Ramakrishna. I never followed his particular path, but there are many people who do different strokes for different folks. He goes into detail, Swami Medhananda, into the idea of Advaita Vedanta, that God is not real and just part of the dream, and only Brahman is real. And again, I've gone into this in an earlier video, is the world an illusion? And I diverge from Shankaracharya and the Vedantist philosophers to a certain significant degree in my own views, because they're born of my own direct experience. The world is not an illusion. Objects are real. The world is real. That's the position taken by Ramanujacharya, vs.Advaita, which I covered in an earlier video, who's Bhagwan. These imaginary objects have been created through imaginary physical laws and chemical laws, which were discovered by imaginary scientists who created all these wonderful objects we have in our environment. And of course, they're all dream objects, and these are all dream laws. They don't really exist. I don't think that's true. As I covered this ground in my earlier video, is the world an illusion? It's perception. The perception of the world that we might have is an illusion. And the objects in it are transient. They change form or die. The body is transient. But for all intents and purposes, the objects are real and solid and stable, so they give us a lifetime of good use. So I don't think that's a very productive way of looking at things. I think it's going to be quite escapist. The world is real, but our perception of it may not be. Seeing a snake in a rope, for example, so that's the mind creating an image of a snake within a rope. And that perception may or may not cause us suffering, dukkha. So that comes from attachment or aversion with relation to that object, be it a mental object, which is what aversion is, or attraction. That's the mental object, which is the result of contact of the senses and the mind with physical objects, which are real in the real world. Okay, so I have my own unique standpoint, born of my own self-realization. God is another object. Is God imagination? I would say so, because I've asked God to appear in a physical form, and not once could he comply with that request. The only God I know that's real is the sun, and that is worshipped as a god in Hinduism. But all these gods seem to appear to be some kind of artificial intelligence in an imaginary world, parallel dimension. So they're in another dimension, another realm of the psyche, consciousness. Could you call that real? Somebody like Ramakrishna would say that's all real. The Dzogchen Buddhists would also say everything is real. So everything is God. And that's certainly true as well. But you're not going to realize that before you realize what you are. So first you have to say that, are you real, or what are you? You have to investigate what you are. Once you know what you are, then you can say you are consciousness, awareness, and everything is consciousness, or whatever insight you, as a unique individual, happen to have about the world and the universe. So that's what this video is about. And Shankaracharya was quoted by him, and he's very knowledgeable about Shankaracharya. And Shankara is Adi Shankara, right on the money with a lot of things. Really, he's like the Plato of Indian philosophy. But just as an aside, it's very interesting. After the advent, historically speaking, after the advent of Shankara, Buddhism was extirpated in India, and the rulers who espoused Shankara created a Hindu revival and destroyed a lot of Buddhist shrines and killed a lot of Buddhists. So just wanted to make that clear as well. It's not all about peace, is it? Spirituality. It's a very, very powerful thing, spirituality and spiritual knowledge, gnosis. It has a capacity to change whole civilizations, transform them. With a simple advent of a powerful reforming figure like Shankara, like a Martin Luther of Hinduism, you could say. Well, what else was I going to point out? The young lady who was interviewing Swami Medhananda, claimed she did a course on the Upanishads for 1 year, and well, to me, she didn't really look like she got any benefit from it. And this is not really. I mean, quite frankly, I don't think anyone with a good intellect can read the Upanishads. Anyone who's receptive to the truth will be able to read 1 or 2 Upanishads, as in my case happened, and I would have thought been able to understand completely, at least gain an intellectual understanding of what's written, and experience certain relief and exaltation at the truth being revealed. Swami Vivekananda claims that you shouldn't mix the 2 traditions of Advaita and Bhakti Yoga, devotion and knowledge. And again, that's a hard and fast rule made by somebody who's adherent to a certain point of view, and that's not necessarily true. At different points in your spiritual journey, you might be, required as an Advaitin to explore Bhakti Yoga, because you've got to connect with love in some way or other, love for your fellow human being. That happened certainly with me, and my way of outflowing love for my fellow man is through music. So that's kind of bhakti for me, and bhakti as a service, connecting to God through music and connecting to the whole. So that there's no hard, fast rules. And saying that Advaita, apparently Ramakrishna, his guru, claimed that Advaita is only eligible for very, very few people. And for example, in the case of somebody who had his hand chopped off and didn't feel anything, somebody who has minimal or no body consciousness. That's not true. The statement that would be somebody who's eligible for Advaita and anyone else is not eligible, I refute categorically. Most people who come across teachings of Advaita Vedanta are quite identified with their bodies. And the purpose of Advaita Vedanta is to remove that identification with the body. Otherwise, you wouldn't be following that path. And quite honestly, anyone who lost their hand through an accident would probably automatically become an Advaitin, because sooner or later they'd realize, oh, my hand is gone, but I'm still the same. So really quite nonsense just to make such a statement. But that comes once again to... the real point I want to make is that these teachers are, marvelous and a joy to listen to. But they're only really addressing the mind, and the mind is full of concepts, whether it's Vedantic concepts or it's worldly concepts. You're still talking to the mind, and the mind can never transcend the mind. And I'm proposed in my videos, and particularly I made a video entitled How to Enter the Kingdom of Heaven, and I teach a very direct path. I'm not officially a teacher or ordained. I simply present my ideas to people, and people have such a conditioning to think, oh, that's probably a fake teacher. Oh, he's not qualified to do this. Oh, he doesn't wear Swami's robe. Oh, he's not an Indian. Oh, he's this and that and all that kind of rubbish. It's up to you to decide whether what I'm saying, based on what I'm saying, is the truth for you. It's a verifiable, almost scientific exploration that you have to make based on what I'm saying. And that's the way the philosophical traditions, East and West, have always been based on using your critical thinking and your discernment and your application of what I'm saying to discern for yourself whether what I'm saying is the truth. And if it's of any help to you, if it isn't, well, good luck to you. I just sing my song and I go. But what I'm talking about is transcending the mind. How do you do that? The easiest way is to enter the body with your attention and feel. until you can experience the reality of yourself as witnessing awareness. Once you've made that connection, once you've had that liberating insight, you don't need all these teachers, you don't need any more teachings, and you can go on your inner journey alone. And that's the way it happens. You see, once you realize that you are attention, a point of attention, and you turn within, bring your attention back to your heart or into your body, your solar plexus, and you feel the prana, the life force, you're able to get direct insight into your own true nature. So that's experiential. And a true teacher will, well, I said, what a true teacher is somebody who can show you that. And there are very few. I could count them on the fingers of one hand. And I was blessed enough to come across the best teachers on the planet in what I call the lineage of no lineage. Barry Long, Advaita, John Klein, Ramana Maharshi, Nisargadatta Maharaj, and U.G. Krishnamurti. And they very much emphasized this feeling aspect, the feeling of being and the body. You see, the body is the key. Once you put your attention in the body and feel and make that your starting place, you circumvent the thinking mind, where all these questions are, and you get your answers within. Because when you're feeling, you can't think. You can't do two things at once. And you realize with time that all of nature is like that. There's no thought interacting or interfering. Your attention is continually bound up in your, localized in your prefrontal cortex. You're thinking, analyzing, judging. You're seeing images and you're hearing words or whatever concepts. And that goes on day in, day out. And unless you circumvent that mechanism, you're not going to realize the self or realize anything of any value. Once you descend into the body and into the heart, that thinking stops. As I said, the thought that circumvented that mechanism has been, already bypassed. When you feel the body energy, you can see that, recognize, you inquire who is feeling the feeling, and you see yourself. You realize that you are attention, the subject, which is distinct from that which is being perceived, the object, which is the feeling, and the body. Then you become aware that the body is an object to your attention, and that you are attention. And when inquiring, who am I? What is this attention? What am I? You see that you cannot be known, just like the eye cannot see itself. Having seen that, you have completed the sadhana. The major part of the sadhana, which is recognition of yourself as awareness. In Kashmir yoga, it's called pratyabhijna, recognition. And really, that's the direct path, and you don't need anything else. You've left the world of thought, which is the sort of world of mind, and liberation is the end of the mind, as I've stated in earlier videos, and it's stated very clearly in texts such as Ashtavakra Gita and Ribhu Gita for those people who want confirmation scripturally. And that's really all I want to say. I've stated this already in earlier videos. I hope that's of interest and help, and I wish you a very nice day. Namaste. Salam alaikum.